All right, folks, welcome back to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with Diego Rodriguez, mi primo,
Yeah,
Diego. What's going on, Diego? We're going to be talking about baby Cyrus, who is what Diego claims was kidnapped basically by the CPS, correct? Is that how
that's
you want to
exactly
start
right.
this off?
That is exactly right. Yeah, first of all, David, I just want to say thanks for having us on the show. This is so important for us to be getting this information out to anybody and everybody as much as possible because, as you know, as you cover on your show all the time, we're not living in the same America that our forefathers gave us. People are not obeying the Constitution. We're not living in a country that is governed by the rule of law anymore. It is just governed by thugs who can do whatever they get away with. And CPS is one of the biggest that I was mostly unaware of how wicked and evil and corrupt they are. But we found is the only way you can get justice nowadays, particularly with entities like this, is through publicity. With people like yourself publicizing this stuff, if you can get enough publicity so that these entities feel publicly shamed or embarrassed, so that the pressure in public is strong enough, that's the only way you can get justice. So thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. And I've known about the CPS for quite a while because I've had a friend whose kids were taken.
Mm.
And they said she was had a drug problem, and I never or a drinking problem. But I only knew her to drink occasionally, and it was a really strange situation. That's when I started learning about the CPS and how evil that part of the government really. It's part of the government, correct? It's a government entity.
Sort of. So what I've learned here, again, this happened 4 weeks ago, so it's just kind of like drinking from a fire hose. I've just basically completely immersed myself in everything there is to know about this. And while I wouldn't consider myself an expert in any way, shape, or form, I'm in the midst of it still as we speak. So we're learning so much. And so you say it's kind of it's part of the government. It is allegedly part of the government. It is under the color of law part of the government. But we found out is CPS in most states, and CPS has its own charter or its own corporate entity in all 50 states. But that's exactly what it is. It's a private corporation. And so in all 50 states, you're in Texas, I'm here in Idaho, and in Texas, there is a division called CPS that is supposed to be part of the government, but it's actually a private corporation. And the reason why all this is so wicked and evil is because when people think of CPS, they are under the false assumption, and I used to be under it as well, that the purpose of CPS is to protect children from abusive parents or from, sexual molestation and things of that nature, and that we think that they exist to protect children. It's in the name, Child Protective Services, CPS. And the reality is completely flipped on its head. CPS is literally harming children, putting them into child sex trafficking. It's the number one source of sex trafficking we have in America, and it's all for profit, David. This is what I did not know before. It's all done for profit. In fact, this is a multi-billion-dollar child trafficking ring called CPS, and the average American thinks it's all for good.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that because I didn't want to burst your bubble because it is a child sex trafficking ring, and I was like, man, I hope he understands the severity of this, and I didn't know you were that on board with it. Okay, so good. It's
100%. We've uncovered, what you would call the dark underbelly of all this stuff, and it is so wicked and so unbelievable, and it's all under this same with CPS, and it is a multi-billion-dollar child trafficking ring in the sense, and very specifically, that's not just me being bombastic and throwing out inflammatory terms. That is a statistical and actual fact, and here's how it works. The federal government has billions of dollars of funds available since the late 90s when Bill and Hillary Clinton introduced AFSA, which is an act that basically takes money from your Social Security fund. So everybody paying into the Social Security fund, what you think you're paying into, there's billions of dollars. I've gotten different numbers from 60 to 80 billion dollars that are given to the states every year to kidnap children. That's literally what it exists for.
And really, they just need a reason. Anything they write down on paper, do they do? Like, how did this happen to you? How did they do a home check? What was the reason they gave to you?
So I'm so glad you said that, because you said any reason, anything they write down on paper. And that is exactly right. It's literally anything at all that they write down on paper. I've been compiling a list of reasons that we found are actual reasons CPS has given to take children away. And I'll give you ours in just a second. But for people who are listening thinking, oh, this will never happen to me, CPS only comes after parents who are, drug addicts or abusing their children or something like that. Look, my children, my daughter and my son-in-law, these are the most all-American kids you could ever find. I was a pastor for 10 years. My daughter was raised as a pastor's kid, homeschooled her entire life. You know, there's 5 children in the family. She was one of 5 homeschooled children. These are not alcoholics. They don't do drugs. They don't smoke cigarettes. They don't watch, bad movies. These are clean people. Her husband comes from a family of 11 homeschooled children, raised again, Christian family, Christian home, etc. So this is as clean as you can find of a family anywhere. If they can do it to them, they can do it to you. And the list of things that we've heard as of actual things that they wrote down, like you just mentioned, what reason why people are taken. And for any of you who have kids, tell me if you would be a part of this list. So for example, a child had a fever, child had a runny nose, the child had a bruise on its arm, leg, or body somewhere. They did a home check and there was crayon markings on the wall. The dishes were still in the sink and they had not been cleaned yet. There was laundry that had not been folded yet. You go to church, your child
goes, okay, this is suspect. I'm going to call the CPS on them.
Yep. And so yes, that's exactly what happened. But you made a point earlier that I want to emphasize, and you said because it was in her power to do so. In this case, it's a dude. But guess what, dude? It's in everybody's power to do so. I can call CPS right now in El Paso, Texas, and say, "Hey, David Rodriguez, is slapping his kid around," and the cops will show up at your door in minutes, and they can look in with the CPS worker, and CPS worker goes, "Oh, look, David's got a dog, and the dog pooped on the floor, and he hasn't cleaned it up yet. He's an unfit parent. Take the kid."
Oh,
and as soon as they take that kid from your house, they get paid just like that instantly. As soon as they take that kid away from you, take them away, they get paid. But once they put them into foster care, and putting them into foster care takes a matter of minutes or hours, so they get paid a second time. Again, snatching the child from your possession is one payment. Then an hour later, when they put that child in foster care, that's a second payment. Then you keep that child in foster care month after month after month, and they get paid every single month. This is why I'm saying it's child trafficking. Because by definition, absolutely, because by definition, child trafficking is kidnapping for profit. And this is going on to the tune of $60+ billion a year. And I didn't know it. Your listeners probably don't know it. And literally every single American with children is at risk. And you might be thinking, my kids are grown up now.
It just takes one phone call.
One call. That's it.
And it's all at your house.
And it's anonymous. It's an anonymous phone call. I can make an anonymous phone call from some private line and not even give my name or any information, and they're showing up at your door.
This is the way the government is successfully kidnapping kids and putting them into sex trafficking, child trafficking. This is the way. You've learned the ins and outs of this and how they're doing this.
So once you start getting into this, brother, it's so wicked and so evil. I'll give you an example. The last time somebody looked into it, the last time somebody got deep into the money trail, her name was Senator Nancy Schaefer from Georgia. I don't know if you've ever heard of her before, but she basically was contacted by one of her constituents complaining about how CPS was abusing them and their family, and she started looking into it, and she found this unbelievable criminal record of the most wicked, vile, and heinous acts by CPS on her citizens and her constituents. And she just dug deeper into it and started following the money trail and seeing where the money came from Social Security, from Section 8 and Title 4, and billions of dollars funneling down to the state level, and CPS taking this money. And the court system is rigged because the judges get paid by CPS. Police officers get paid by CPS. Doctors get paid by CPS. The hospitals are getting paid by CPS. Everybody has their hand in the cookie jar who has power to take your children away. They're all financially incentivized. In other words, the authorities who are ruling over this, judges, cops, doctors, and medical professionals, they are financially incentivized by the system itself to take your children. So the details of the money trail, like how does the money funnel down to cops? How does it funnel down to the doctors? How does it get through to the hospitals? How does it get specifically to the hands of the Department of Health and Welfare? Because every single state has a different Department of Health and Welfare. We call it Department of Health and Welfare. Your state might call it Department of Child and Family Services or whatever, but it's all the same thing. It's basically the state equivalent of the national or the federal Department of Health and Human Services. We all have them. All states have them. And when Senator Nancy Schaefer got really close to uncovering all this, first she went on tour all around the country and describing it to everybody. And once she got close and she was about to unveil it all, she was murdered. Her and her husband were both killed, found shot to death. And that was 12 years ago. In 2010, they were shot to death. And this is how real this is. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar child trafficking ring. And most of us, David, think of child trafficking. We think of, you're there on the border, and you guys probably think of, well, they're El Chapo and Pablo Escobar and their people are shipping children across in boxes and then selling them off to Jeffrey Epstein or some rich billionaire in France. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It does. But the highest number and the most sophisticated organized child trafficking ring is CPS.
Right. That's the legal way the government can do that, to get their hands dirty. So like in El Paso, Juarez, there's tunnels, there's all kinds, there's child trafficking. And now with the open borders, that's all just about trafficking, human trafficking.
That's right.
Drug smuggling. That's all that is for. They want an easier way to do this. The fact that, here's another question. When the CPS comes and does a home check, can you have not let them in? Can you say no, go away, or do they have a warrant?
So in our part, so the answer to your question is, for anybody who's listening, you're saying, I don't want this to happen to me. What do I do?
You have no choice.
So I would say this: you do have a choice. So every single city is different. You don't have to take them to the hospital. Take them to a medical clinic. Take them to a walk-in clinic. Get direct primary care with the doctor directly. There's tons
of urgent care.
So there are urgent care facilities, but we have now found, as a result of all this, there's this new phenomenon spreading across America that I think is the greatest thing that's ever happened in medicine, and it's called direct primary care. It's where you've got some guy named John Smith. He's a doctor, and John Smith has a clinic around the corner from you. You pay him a monthly fee, and you get unlimited health care from him directly. So you're not working through a hospital, no insurance companies, none of that crap. You just work directly with your doctor, just like they did in the 40s and 50s and 60s, before we had this huge medical establishment and this huge, medical cartel we have now. It's called direct primary care. And if you're in a big city like El Paso, you've got tons of doctors who are doing it there. We just learned about it. It's great. But beyond that, there's walk-in clinics, and there's, smaller healthcare facilities that are not these giant allopathic hospitals that are connected to the government and subsidized by the government. So stay away from those.
I have elderly parents. Can they do this with the elderly as well?
Absolutely. And the pricing is incredible. This is true freedom in the medical system. So imagine you got 20 doctors that are doing this. They all have to compete with one another. And so because they all have to compete with another, if you have a family of 5, for example, 2 parents and 3 children, you probably are going to pay a couple thousand, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 or more per month for medical insurance. But if you do direct primary care through these doctors now, you can get it for a couple $100 for your entire family, and it's unlimited. It's just absolutely incredible. So I highly recommend people look into that. We just found out about it only after all of this happened with my grandson being kidnapped. If I would have known about it before, none of this probably would have ever happened.
Now, how long ago was this when your son was?
4 weeks ago. He was kidnapped
4 weeks ago. Where is he right now? Do you know?
He is now with his parents, and so we did get him back. It's a miracle. I can explain exactly how we got him back, because if you've worked these cases before and you've heard these stories, parents never get their kids back quickly. If they ever get them back, it's after a year, 2 years, 3 years, and after they spent $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in legal fees, medical fees, court fees, everything else. And then if their children are older, they get these kids back and they've got all types of mental issues. They got mental health issues. They were sexually molested in foster care. And then there's no recourse for that because CPS protects its own. They have unlimited funding, and so they're going to protect all of that. Baby Cyrus was only gone for 1 week. 1 week he was gone, which is literally a miracle. You're never going to find that anywhere in America, but there's a reason why, and I'll share it with you. But even after a week, he shows signs of PTSD. From the night that he was taken. We can show you and your viewers the video. There's an 8-minute video because it was all recorded and my daughter live streamed.
Want me to let you share the screen?
I can't do it here on my screen. Oh yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, let me just bring it up here.
Okay.
So if you see this, you're just going to get so angry.
There you go. You got the. You can share the screen.
Okay, let's do this here. I'll bring it up, and you'll see the moment. Like when baby Cyrus is actually physically taken away from his mother.
And let me ask you this: Do they have to do now welfare checks? Do they have to still come in?
Yeah, so they had to agree to all that.
Oh
so they had to agree to
you have to
welfare
let
check.
these people in your house like what, once a week, once a month?
So generally speaking, it is something like a couple times a week, but it's at any time. In the case of baby Cyrus,
What if you want to take a vacation?
Can't do
Like
that.
on house arrest? You're on house arrest essentially now.
So they can't leave the county.
For how long?
Until CPS lets go of the case, until they dismiss the case and they're not a part of it anymore.
This is hell.
It's absolutely it's even worse than that. You're 100% right, but it's even worse than that. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Where is this? Right here. Here we go. This should be able to share now. Can you see my screen there, brother?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a video right here of when baby Cyrus was taken, and you can see. Well, I'll just play it.
No, I'm not moving. For what reason? What crime did I commit? What crime did I commit?
These bastards.
What crime did I commit? What crime did I commit? No, do you know?
No, Miranda, let them. Miranda.
This is my daughter. They're ripping out of this truck.
I will step out.
Out of the car. Try to get out of the car.
This is not the mother of the child. Right, there's my son-in-law. They just arrested and put him in cuffs. Watch this. It's not her child. Listen to this mockery.
Oh.
So the girl they just arrested was my other daughter, who's not even Cyrus's mom. That's how ignorant.
You're just taking care of her?
No, my daughter with the baby was in the backseat of the truck.
Okay.
So this is her now talking to the officer. And watch as he lies repeatedly, saying that she can go with baby Cyrus to the ambulance or to the hospital.
This guy's evil.
He is so evil. His name is Sergeant Christopher McGilvery.
Christopher McGilvery. Burn in hell.
Amen to that.
I can't take watching this, dude. I'm pissed off right now. I mean, this is making me angry.
It's gonna get worse. So get ready for your heart rate to go up.
It's already up.
I know.
So there's a
Kid
baby.
Healthy and beautiful.
That's what he is. He does throw up, and nobody's been able to figure that out yet. But so they promised he'd be able to go.
He's a liar.
So take quick note of this, because they want her to come out of the truck so they can pat her down to make sure she doesn't have any weapons. And they do that. And it's important to note that for what's going to happen in a minute.
This is horrific.
By the way, there's like 15 plus cops there. This looks like it's a murder
They really
scene.
need them, you know. Just give me a break. These cowards. They're cowards. Bullies with badges.
Yep, you're right. 100%.
There'll be a shelter care hearing, okay, on Tuesday. And that's a hearing, that's a hearing you're gonna wanna go to, okay? The shelter care hearing
Who makes this decision?
will be at 1:00 p.m.
Do you know who makes this decision?
Makes what decision?
That he has to go into state custody.
Well, we have,
You have?
based on what the doctors have told us,
I can't, please.
okay? We go off.
Based on what the doctors have told us. Wow.
And so, everybody's positive.
You said the doctors get paid for this as well?
Absolutely. And the doctor he's claiming about right here, we've now found out later, is not even a doctor. It's another nurse named Tracy Youngman. And Tracy Youngman is giving him this information saying, you guys need to declare the baby to be in imminent danger. And guess what? She's never seen baby Cyrus. A nurse on the phone who's never even seen the baby is declaring him in imminent danger, just so you understand how corrupt the system is.
I'm not.
this is how it's gonna go, okay?
No, it's not.
And
Gonna
we
be.
have proof of that, by the way.
He's my baby. I'm not gonna leave him.
Listen.
Now listen what this animal says.
Okay? So there'll be a shelter care hearing on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Okay, and you're gonna want to attend that. Okay, and that's what your part of this is. Okay, that's your next step in this. We have nobody wants to take people's children away from them. We want to get the child
BS.
back to you in
But
a
you
healthy
do.
state. No, we want to make sure that kid is healthy. We want to get these kids healthy.
That's the lie
Why can't I?
that they tell all the
Look how
time
healthy
to the
that
whole
kid
world.
is. Look how great that kid looks.
That's the lie that they tell to everybody repeatedly. They will do anything because we just care about the kids. And the public is foolish enough to believe that lie. They will literally beat your children, molest your children, rape your children, but we're doing it for their safety. And the
Yeah.
public says, okay.
Be with him while you're doing the medical work. How am I in danger to him if I'm just watching?
And he has no question. He has no answer to that question.
Okay. Well,
Watch.
we're gonna go ahead and go with this. What I just told you. Okay.
So you're gonna
So
take
this is
no.
listen.
No, I
This
can't.
is what we're gonna do. Okay. So this is your.
Now, this was being live streamed. All this was being live streamed. I mean, my whole family had to watch in horror all across the country on Facebook while this was all taking place.
Oh my gosh.
Because she had the sense to live stream this so that it was all recorded.
When the state takes custody of babies, I've seen this so many times. I can't be that next person. I can't. We can't
So this, let me.
Now, this guy is a filthy animal. Just watch this.
Detective Fuller's case, okay?
Can you
But
talk to him?
he has made the decision to declare imminent danger, okay? So I really don't want to make this worse on you. I would like to get him the help that he needs.
What's his name?
Okay?
Detective Hansen. Steve Hansen.
No.
And you leave.
Detective Hansen, huh?
Steve Hansen.
We arrest you.
See that? Now he's saying we're going to arrest you.
Child trafficker in a badge, right there.
It's exactly what he is. So he's now
The
threatening.
officer told me that I could go with him in the ambulance into the hospital.
Yeah, and I don't know what was said before then. I was not a part of that conversation.
Disgusting animal.
Yeah.
Disgusting, disgusting animal. Be ashamed of yourself, you.
My concern today is for him.
I know your concern is for him, but I don't cause him any harm by being with him. I'm his mother. And what you also understand is he has difficulty with proteins. He only takes breast milk. He needs me. He really needs me, okay? I really need your help.
Like I told you, I'm not the lead detective on this, okay? So.
Oh, you piece of shit.
Go. What are we waiting on? Yeah, thank you. All right, so.
Listen to this.
I need you to hand over the baby to the EMT.
I won't.
I really
Can you
don't
please help
want
me
you to
out?
go to jail tonight, but I'm telling you, if you don't allow this to happen, you're going to jail.
How long?
That's not up to me. But you will be placed under arrest if you do not comply with what we're asking you to comply with. So if you could please hand him over so he doesn't have any further harm from us having to train him.
He's threatening to harm the child. Look at that.
And you'll have a chance to get him back at some point, okay?
This is so disturbing, bro.
But they're not.
We need to move this. Okay? And I really don't want to have to forcibly remove him from you, but if that's the case, I will do that and you will go to jail. So you have one option at this point. You need to get him to the EMT and you can go on your merry way.
Can you believe he said that?
Your family who's out there.
That's not Mary at all.
Or I remove him from you and you go to jail. You need to make that decision. You need to make it now.
I won't let him go.
Okay.
Did she go to jail?
Yes. You're going to see. Watch this. It gets even worse. So now they're ripping baby Cyrus out of his arms. She's handcuffed and humiliated. And now male officers grope her, stick their hands up her blouse and down her pants, all in the name of checking for weapons, which is, they already did.
What's the charges?
And now she's in handcuffs. And look at this filthy pervert. This is pervert Sean King,
What's she
Meridian's
doing?
finest
Is he
groper.
grabbing her ass right there?
Yep, he's touching her everywhere. He puts his hand down her pants.
Who's in charge on scene?
He already put his hands up her blouse and then put them down around her pants and around her waist, and he's
Yeah, because
groping her all over.
he
He's
looks
an
like a
absolute
threat.
pervert.
Give me a break.
Can you explain to me what her charges is? Why not?
Enough already,
So-
man. What's with this guy?
He's a pervert.
There goes the baby.
Oh,
So that's what happened, brother. That, and I mean, you're a man. All right, I'm a man. We're men. I
be
had to
fighting, bro.
stand
I'd be
and
fighting.
watch
I'd be
that
in
with
for life.
my eyes.
I'd be in jail.
And there was 5 police right there in front of me. I have a child soon, and I hope you do. Well, guess what? Anybody who doesn't like you can call you up and say, "Hey, David Rodriguez, you know he's abusing his child," and they can come make up any story and take your kid, any story, and they'll bring out 15, 20, 30 cops, and they'll all shoot you and
This
get
is
away
like
with it.
This is making me want to leave America. Like, this is
Well,
scary. This is like Nazi Germany.
It's well, I'll tell you what.
It's
in
worse
many
actually,
cases-
because they're doing it legally. You can't fight it.
And not only is it worse in that way, but in Nazi Germany, people didn't get paid to do it. Here, they're getting paid to do this. That's the thing that makes it the most wicked, brother. I mean, this is absolutely wickedness. And it's true. We've had a lot of people say, well, I got to get out of this country. I got to leave here. And I get it. And there's no clean place. You know, Florida is more free than other places. Texas, where you live, is more free than other places. Tennessee, those are like the top 3 free states. CPS is in all of those. It's in all 50 states. There's no place to run to within America. We have to dismantle this system, or there is no freedom in America, period.
So what were the steps you took to get baby Cyrus back?
So here's what happened. That night, immediately, right as you saw the ambulance take off, I drove to the jail, to the Ada County Jail, to go bail my 2 daughters out. Because mind you, they still had my other daughter in the other squad car, who they falsely arrested. They falsely accused her first of
So
felony
that's how you
injury
held
to a
this over
child.
their head. You held that part over their head, didn't you? Or
Well, we still are, but the problem here is this. And look, you got to understand, I support the institution of law enforcement. So don't let anybody here take the words I'm about to say and twist them that mean something wrong. However, I support the institution of fatherhood. I'm a preacher. I support the institution of the ministry. But just because these institutions exist and are good, and I believe are even ordained of God, it doesn't mean that individuals within those institutions can't become sick and evil and need to be, 1, denounced, and 2, removed and held accountable. If a pastor starts molesting children or having sex with underage girls in the church, he needs to be denounced and removed. And guess what? That does happen, unfortunately, all the time. If a father is abusing their child, actually legitimately abusing their child, you and me would denounce him. We'd say, that guy's wrong. He's sick. We need to get rid of that. Get rid of that guy. He needs to be put in jail. And fathers everywhere would denounce him. The problem is with police officers, when they go outside of their jurisdiction, beyond their constitutional duties and what I believe to be their God-given jurisdiction, police officers, other ones, don't denounce them. They allow it, they protect it, they defend one another. There's a culture of defending one another, and nobody wants to stand up and say, this is wrong. Police abuse is wrong. They want to say, well, you know, there's 2 sides to every story, and let's not say anything, let's not rush to conclusions. That's complete nonsense. Yes, I believe you need to have both sides of every story, but when you see a video of a man slapping a woman, you don't ever say, well, you know, we need to see what 2 sides of the story here is. No, it's always wrong for a man to slap a woman, period, no matter what. And what you just saw right there, a child being forcefully ripped away from a mother who is not endangering the child, is always wrong, no matter what, period. And so, I said all that to say, when these police who in our state happen to be some of the most corrupt police anywhere, and it is because of the fact
What state are you in again?
I'm in Idaho.
Idaho.
Number one, there's no crime here. So when there's no crime here, you have this bloated police force. What are they doing? They got nothing to do. You know, when a 70-year-old man does a rolling stop, 5 cop cars pull him over because they're bored of their mind. They got nothing to do. And they're all going to be decked out in soldier uniforms and gear with the mindset of, you know,
real strong, real tough. They're tough.
And
they're there to do their job.
For a 5'1" petite 105-pound girl soaking wet with a little baby who they're threatening to harm the child, you saw it yourself. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And so the reason they get away with this crap, brother, is because people support them. When you fly your blue line flags and you say, I back the blue, well, you shouldn't back the blue, because backing the blue means that you are backing all of them all the time. I sure do back up the
I agree with you 1,000%.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000% on that. There's good police officers, no doubt about it, but there are some real scumbags in uniform. And what we just saw right now were scumbags. The guys
exactly
that
right.
do this are scumbags.
And they're afraid to say so. They're afraid to say so. Look, I don't back all fathers all the time. I don't back all preachers all the time. And I don't back all cops all the time. Because there's bad preachers. There's bad fathers. There's bad coaches. There's bad teachers. There's bad politicians. There's bad cops. When you back them all, you enable them to do their wickedness. And that's the problem. We should be judging people individually. And what you saw there were some wicked police doing wicked things because they're paid to do so. They get bonused for this. They get paid to do this. And plus their ego is involved, right? They get in there, they're all jacked up like they're over here and they're capturing, Jeffrey Epstein, or they're capturing, drug dealers and mafia warlords. And we're talking about Christian parents with their 10-month-old baby who's 100% safe in their care and totally endangered in the care of CPS. So what happened was I went to go bail my 2 daughters out of jail. A friend of ours is Ammon Bundy. You might have heard of him before, and about his story back in Nevada.
I've interviewed him.
Fantastic. So he's a personal friend of the family. Somebody called him up and told him the story, and he was furious. And he went straight to the hospital to follow the ambulance. Well, we get to the hospital.
You think his help is what really? I mean, that might have been the.
Well, here's the big help. When he got there, they arrested him. They arrested him for being out in front of the hospital protesting and fussing with the officers over there. Well, he's running for governor over here. So he's running for the governor of the state of Idaho. So anything that happens with him becomes immediate national news.
This might have been what got you.
When he got arrested, this story became national news. National news overnight.
That's
so because it became national news, well, it went all over social media, all over our own personal network. There's a network called People's Rights, and you guys should check it out, called peoplesrights.org, where it's neighbors protecting neighbors from having your rights violated. And so there's a communications network we have to communicate one with another. And it went out to thousands of people here across Idaho. The next morning, after what you saw right there, over 400 people showed up at the hospital to protest. So we got people with signs and people making
Diego,
phone calls.
that's how you got your daughter back. I mean,
it's the only reason we got our grandson back. So we were there the next day.
See, people don't
it's the
have
only
access
reason.
to this.
It's the only reason. It's the only reason. So this happened day after day, David. We were there on Saturday, then we were there on Sunday, every day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
That's the only way you got your kid back, man.
It's the only reason.
Not everybody has this.
That's right.
To them, and to where they have the access to the media, to Ammon Bundy.
You're 100% right, and this is why we're so passionate about this, because what you said is 100% true. Thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of people have heard the story of baby Cyrus, but how many people does this happen to every day? Nobody heard their story. Their story is just as awful as ours. In many cases, it's worse, and nobody's ever heard their story, and they go through this without support, without help, without anything, and they're being abused by the system called CPS. And so what we uncovered here, my brother, is that child trafficking in the name of CPS is one of the great evils in the history of America, up there with slavery, with racial segregation, with abortion, all these things that we have even up to this day. These are the great horrors of our nation's past. Yeah, we have a lot of glorious history that I'm very grateful for, and I'm a proud patriot. When you think of all these other things that are horrible, they were only undone because one case study or one test case rises to national prominence, and it causes enough public outcry for it to finally be overturned. I'll give you an example. Rosa Parks. You think she had the greatest abuse against her ever? No. Do we think, that her case was unique? No, this went on all the time. But what happened was, for whatever reason, the circumstances were such that her story rose to national prominence. There was a national outcry, and it started a whole movement to undo the injustice of racial segregation. Our prayer is that right now, baby Cyrus's case is getting national attention. People are hearing about it internationally. There's stories in Europe, in Asia, in Latin America about baby Cyrus, and it's getting huge attention in the legislatures across the country. In the Idaho State Legislature, it was a huge story. All across the country, there's congressmen who are bringing this up to Congress as well. So because this is happening, we want to ask, hope, and pray that God would allow this story to be that one story that rises to national prominence. If enough of your viewers and enough people like you keep pushing this message, we can keep this story at the very top of the national psyche so that people are saying, we have to end this and let this story be the final story and the last time somebody has to suffer so that we end state subsidized child trafficking in America forever. Let it be now.
Diego, I'm going to call it right here. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Diego Rodriguez. Is there ways people can donate to you or?
Yes, please. We hate to ask for these type of things. It makes you feel terrible. But when you have these type of expenses that I can't even describe, it's off the charts. But if you go to freedomman.org, that's freedomman, so there's two M's, freedomman.org /Cyrus, or just go to freedomman.org and there's a big button that says Baby Cyrus right there. When you go there, there's a button that they can donate, and there's also plenty of links there. They can watch the video we just watched. They can watch the full length of videos that were first streamed. They can see the names of all the kidnappers involved, the entire story and history behind it, all the documented evidence showing that it's all a fraud and it's all a lie, so that people can become educated. We've been able to put this website together so that anybody can educate themselves so that they too can be a part of dismantling this crime.
It's time. And I'm sad it's your case that, breaks the straw that breaks the camel's back, but it is what it is. And you're a brave man. I appreciate you coming on my show, Diego. Mi primo.
Mi primo.
Mi primo. Hey, listen, Diego, I'm here for you if you ever need to come on again.
Appreciate it.
If anything happens, you just, you have my number, you call me, you text me, you email me. I'll have you back on the show and we'll make them famous.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Literally, it's publicity like this that got Baby Cyrus back. And it's
I'll put this
like
up on BitChute, Rumble, and my Nino's Corner.tv. This won't make it on YouTube, Diego. They'll take this down. I'll get a strike. So this will go on my other platforms. And I'll share it all over my Telegram.
I appreciate it, brother. You guys, it's people like you that are making the difference, and I mean that.
God bless you, sir.
Lord bless you.
You're my age. I don't even like to call you sir.
But I'm a grandpa. Yeah,
holy shit, I'm behind the 8 ball. All right, Diego. God bless you.
Take care, brother. Thanks.